All right, and we're back. And in the last episode, we learned how to chop down some trees. And in this episode, what I want to do is I want to be able to get resources from those trees. Like you see how we've got the rocks and the wood planks, and if you chop down the trees, you should be able to get resources from chopping down a tree. So that should give us some like hardwood and those tree leaves, so the palm leaves. So in this episode, we're going to do that. But before we do that, I think it's really important to get this inventory system managed the correct way because we're starting to get a lot of items in the game and we should probably manage the inventory system. So let's get on that before we get moving on collecting more resources. All right, first thing you need to do, we have a HUD called items HUD that we were using a long time ago. We don't have to use anything up there, but I'm gonna use mine to make this. I'm not gonna use any of the stuff that was existing though. But pull that HUD back up, and we're gonna add something called a scroll box. Type in scroll box. All right, type in scroll box. Add a scroll box to your canvas panel, and you're gonna see it pop up here on the bottom. It's on the top left side, so you can make it bigger. What I'm gonna do is make mine about this size, and I'm gonna put it right here in the middle of my screen. It's not gonna take up the whole screen, just like this middle part right here. And you know what? I'll even anchor it to that middle part of the screen, just like that. Okay, now in this scroll box, all we need to do is add a horizontal box now. So there's something called a horizontal box. So drop that right on top of the scroll bar. And when you put that there, you're gonna see it right there. And that's fine, we'll leave it right there. Don't worry about filling it out or anything like that. But what we need in the horizontal box is a piece of text. So drop a text there. And then you can duplicate that text. So now you've got text. And then we need a button right after that. So right under the horizontal box, drop a button. And this button, what we need to do now is just like put these things in the place where they need to be. So what you could do is either padding, or what you could do is the spacing of the horizontal box, which that's what I'm gonna do. Or what you could do is come over here and fill out each one of them. So this is what it would look like if you filled out each one of them. Fill, and for the button, fill. For the button though, you can have it like small, because the button for us is going to be drop. So when you want to drop an item, I don't want you to accidentally drop an item. However, you can make it bigger by making the text block a little bit bigger. So each of mine are going to be 40, just to keep it consistent. And then for the button, I'm probably going to put some padding on this whole horizontal box. So the horizontal box, put some padding like 50 on everything. Actually, we can add one more button, because what if there's like an item that we can use or something? Or equipped. So that's the drop button. We'll just duplicate that button. Duplicate. And that will be the use button. I'm going to take that padding down to like 20. And for these, I'm going to let it go to the full length. And then each one of these, I'm going to add padding to it. I'm going to add 20 padding to each one of them. So for the text, 20. For here, 20. And each of the buttons, 20. Yep. There we go. Now it's looking sweet. Now, once we fill it all out, it'll make so much sense to you. But basically, in this first one, we're going to put what the item is. In the second one, we're going to put how many of the items that you have. In the third one, we're going to put an option to drop that item. So you're going to see the number dwindle down. And then in the fourth one, we're going to put an option to use or equip that item if it's like a weapon or something like that. But for this first one, let's start it off with rocks. So we'll just type in rocks for the text block. Okay. And then for the text binding, I think we've made a binding, but let's just make the binding again, which mine is this. You want to get third person character, get number of rocks, and return the node. So let's go ahead and just use this one. This is called get text. So back in the designer, for this text block, we're going to bind it to get text. And for the text block, I'm just going to write, well, I can't write anything there now. Let's remove the binding real quick. Let's write 0, 0, just to see where it's at. See, I think it can go in the middle. The middle there looks better to me. So let's put it in the middle. And then let's bind that text to get text. Then for this button, we need to make it a drop button. So let's drop some text on the button. I think you can actually do that. Yep, it's going to say drop. And then for the button, we need to make it drop an item. So for this one, we're going to make it drop a rock. So let's go down here to on clicked. And what we wanted to do is cast a third person character. So we actually need to get a third person character reference. So event construct, cast a third person character, get player character, and then drag off of as player character and promote it to a variable, and we're going to call it as third person character. Cool. Now we can use that a lot. We need that, or else we'll be typing a lot and our fingers will get tired. All right, so what we want when this button happens is we want to get the third person character. So drag that variable off, get it, and then we can get rocks from them. Get rocks. And then all you got to do is -1. -1. And then set rocks. To whatever number that comes out to be. So that's drop rocks. Comment it, drop rocks. You can't use the rocks, so that button is not going to be visible for the rocks. So let's show you how to do that. Designer, this last button right here, there's no need to use the rocks. So what we're going to do is make this one invisible. Right here, hidden. Compile and save. Okay, so that's rocks. Now let's pull up a way to test this. So in our third person character, we need a way to pull up this menu. So we're going to make this menu look way better, but let's go ahead and just test this out, and then we'll add all the rest of our items to it. So when I press the I on my keyboard, which is probably, all you have to do is really click one of these, then click over here to the right, and then click the key that you want. So I want I. And when I press I want it to create that widget. Create widget. And what widget is it? It's called items widget, items HUD. And then I wanted to add it to the viewport. Okay. But if it's already valid, then we just want to make it visible. So this widget, let's also turn it into a variable. So right here, before we add it to the viewport, right click, or sorry, just drag off the blue pen and promote to variable, and we'll call it items widget. Items widget. Perfect. And plug that blue here. And we can hold Alt to unplug that. All right, so basically, it's going to pull up the items widget. But before that, we need to do an is valid. So is valid, because if it's already created, So put the items widget into the input object. If it is created, then we want to just make it visible, because all we're going to do is hide it. On the valid one, just say, drag off your items widget and say set visibility. And that's what we'll do here. And the visibility will be visible. That's if you press it once. Now, if you press it again, we need to put a flip-flop. So flip-flop. Then what's going to happen on B is that the items widget, drag off your items widget, and set visibility to hidden. And then on this one, we'll probably take off the mouse and all that other stuff. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So get player controller, set show mouse cursor to false, set input mode to game only. Bow. Okay. So now, when you pull it up here, we're going to, inside the widget, we're going to set the mouse cursor. So go back to your widget here, on the graph, on the event construct, right after the third person character, we set that stuff. Let's set show mouse cursor. So get player controller, set show mouse cursor. And we want it to be true, and we also want the input mode to be game and UI, or just UI. Set input mode to UI. Let's do game and UI, because we're going to close it. So let's say set input mode to game and UI. That way you can also still move if you're just looking at your items. And in widget to focus on, you can drag off here and just say self. Get a reference to self. And control and save. Compile and save. Now whenever we press the I, this widget should pop up. So let's go ahead and check that out. This way we got our inventory widget in the game. It's raining. Okay, let's press I. All right, let's get all other widgets of this. Let's make all the other widgets disappear. Back in our third person blueprint, because that's messy. Event construct. Get all widgets of class. Going to be the status widget. Status HUD. And we're just going to say set visibility on that one. So drag it off, get a reference of it or get a copy, and set visibility. Before we start all of that, we're going to set it to hidden. And then when we close this one, we're going to set it to show that HUD again. So then we're after, like when we close it, we'll say get all widgets of class. Status HUD get set visibility to visible. All right, so now it's going to go hidden and then visible. Let's see all of that work. So there's my status HUD. I press I. Now I'm on my HUD. And let's see if that HUD actually works when we pick up some rocks here. We should drown. Rock. All right, so if I press I now, my inventory, so it shows that I have 3 rocks. And what if I drop one? Drop 2 rocks. Now let's see if the weight is right. Nah. So we gotta set the weight. All right, bet. Let's go back to that HUD. And when we drop a rock, we need to set the weight of the rock. So we're only changing the weight of a rock. So we're going to have to do that weight function that we have for my third person character. So if you can look at this, let's look at the one where it says rocks. It's right here at the end. Just copy and paste the data table from there to here. So as soon as you drop a rock, it's going to set the rocks. Then it's going to get the data table row rocks. And then it's going to say out row. It's going to get the weight of the rock and multiply it times how many rocks you have. And then add it to the current weight. Let's just set the current weight function then. Current weight function. All right, set the current weight function. And then we'll set the current weight. So however many rocks you have, that's going to be the rocks. Bow. Then we want to do, I guess we'll just pull off and get everything else. Stone knives. Torches. Stone axes. And scrap wood. Just registers everything and doesn't change anything to 0. There's probably a more efficient way to do this, and if I think of one off camera, I'll do a whole episode about making it more efficient. But for now, let's go ahead and just plug this in, save that all. Now your weight should go ahead and go down when we set the current weight of the player. So let's get the player and set current weight. And then we could do a weight check too. Let's do check weight. Check weight. Bow. Okay. Just plug the green to the green. Then you check the weights to see if you're overweight. Bet. Oh, all right, cool. All we have to do is delete this data table row. We don't really need the data table row. All we got to do is use the current weight function. That was the point of setting up the current weight function. So let's just take the rocks. You don't have to multiply it times anything. Take the rocks, plug it into rocks here, so that then it'll calculate the rocks. So it's 2, 4, 6. So if I press I and I drop a rock, I have 2. My weight should be 4. And there we go. My weight is 4. If I drop another rock, press an I, and drop in another rock, my weight should be 2, and it is. One thing, if we want to fix this real quick, so if I press I, then I press I again, it shows that bar. If I press I, it doesn't hide it again. So why does it not hide it? Each time I press I, it should hide that bar, right? So let's check on that one more time. That's in the flip-flop over here. Copy and paste this right here. Copy and paste it up here. Set visibility to false of the status. Status HUD ref, I guess, our status HUD ref is created at the top. So we can use this status HUD ref instead of this one right here. And instead of getting all widgets, we'll just do the status ref huff right here. Status reference, status HUD reference. Damn. And also down here, you can do the same thing. So let's grab that status HUD reference and plug that into that visibility. That should actually solve the whole problem. And then I'll finally end the episode this time, I promise. We want to set, oh, I haven't set divisible. There we go. That's why. Everything's right. I'm like, yo, I'm not tripping. The code, I'm not tripping. I know how to write. What the crap? Press. All right, so now when we press I, and I. Now it's working perfectly how it's supposed to work. Each time you press I, the other one disappears. When you press it, back it appears. And remember, we can hide that anytime when it comes back. So that's how we need it to work. It needs to be very fluid. Everything needs to work perfectly. And now I'm done with the episode. I'll items all that dead space. But in the next episode, now that we've got our items widget HUD up, Now that we got our items widget HUD stat up, well, damn. Now that we got our items widget set up, we'll be able to add more and more items to that items widget. So then you'll be able to scroll through all the different items and drop them at will or use them if you need to. So thanks for joining me in this one. I hope you learned something. I will holler at y'all in the next one. Peace.
Run to the money, on the feet, don't fail. The DA and the judge wanna do their best to jail. I done turned it all.